He could make them be able to remember things, and their ideation, their ability to remember things became much better using the Kundalini Yoga. And so what I'd like to do is talk about this a little bit. There's active and passive asana-based kiras. And in Sanskrit, action, deed, or effort, the pranayama is to be seated in a position that is firm but relaxed. Now, when I teach people this, I like them to just sit in their seat and relax and breathe. And it helps with the nervous system, the glands, the mental faculties, your chakras, and it develops awareness and spiritual strength. So it's very important. The purposeful breathing, which has a desired outcome. So don't just breathe to breathe. If you're having troubles with your breathing, not getting enough oxygen, you can actually set your intent, I'm going to breathe so that my lungs will absorb the oxygen better and release the carbon dioxide better. Now, Kundalini breathing, your intent is to awaken that energy within you and carry it through your system, healing the body and the organs, and or storing the energy, and I'll show you how to do that, by storing it in the 9th chakra, which is actually above the 7th chakra is right here, the 8th chakra is a little bit behind the head, the 9th chakra is right in alignment with your energy that goes to the higher self or your connection to source. And the reason I store it in the 9th chakra is it stores purely and doesn't get adulterated with our mental aura, our astral plane, or the emotional plane. So, kind of an interesting way to do things. Now, you set your intent by visualizing. Now, we're going to go through the root chakra. And what I do is with the root chakra, it's the end of the coccyx right here by your bottom, and tightening the pubococcygeus muscle, which is the muscle that tightens up the pelvis. It cuts off the urine flow when you want to stop your urine. A lot of people call them Kegel exercises because you tighten that muscle and it tightens your pelvic floor. For men and women, this is very good, especially as you age, because we don't get a lot of circulation down there, and we're sitting on seats and bikes and different things that actually cut the circulation, cut the energy flow. So when you take and tighten that up, you'll feel that energy go right in your pelvis, right down here, okay? And that's where the root chakra is. It's this entire area. So I'm not just touching myself to play with myself, I'm touching myself to demonstrate where that chakra is. Okay, now the root lock is when you tighten that pubococcygeus muscle or do a Kegel exercise. And believe it or not, they're very powerful for men as well as women, because they found in therapy sessions when men have ED, erectile dysfunction, or women have problems losing their urine, or even men. I deal with men who lose their urine. I found if they can get doing those Kegels at least 10 twice a day, it'll resolve a lot of those problems. So what I want you to do is just kind of tighten that muscle. Does everybody know how to find that? It's like stopping your urine or even cutting off your stool when you're going to the bathroom. Okay? You tighten that muscle, and that's called the root lock. So what I'd like to do is have you all take a big deep breath, just kind of bring the energy into your lungs and tighten that root lock, or the pubococcygeus muscle, or Kegel. And tighten that up and hold it for about 10 seconds, and now release. Okay, let's do that again. Breathe it in and tighten that pubococcygeus muscle. Hold it, hold it, hold it. For about 10 seconds. Okay, go ahead and release. Now we're going to do it one more time. You can do this. I like people to do this one at least 10 times because it's so important, this root lock. So let's do it one more time, but we're going to take it up. this time. So go ahead and breathe in. Have the intent to bring the energy into your pelvis. Hold that root lock. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Now we're going to bring it up. And I move things with my hands. So I bring it up, and then you roll your tongue up. Touch the roof of your mouth with your tongue. And then you roll your eyes up and bring it up, and I click and lock it into that 9th chakra. Okay? So what we've done so far is we've energized that root chakra. We're breathing, we're oxygenating, and we're taking the energy up and storing it. Okay? Now, let's go. I'm going to talk a little bit about this because cleansing breath to clear the mind. Now, usually when you start breathing, and I should have done this first, you just take a big deep breath and take all your worries, all the woes, all of the things that have been happening in your life, and just release them. Okay? And what that's called is a cleansing breath. And then we should do the Kundalini part. But anyway, releasing that breath really helps. The sacral plexus breath. Now that's the second one. The sacral plexus in women is their uterus, their tubes, the ovaries, the vagina, and bladder. In men, it's the penis, the prostate, the bladder, and the testes for the sacral plexus. Now, with the sacral plexus, we will lock the root lock, and once we get that locked, we're actually going to bring the pelvis forward. So you lock that root lock, and then you bring your pelvis forward. And what that does is it brings the fulcrum of the sacrum. In craniosacral therapy, the sacrum is a pump that pumps cerebral spinal fluid. And it sits in your pelvis, and as you bring your pelvis forward, bring that sacrum forward, it actually pumps the cerebral spinal fluid and helps get it circulating up around your brain, and it pumps forward through the spinal canal, goes up around the brain, and then comes back down your back. And so as you take this breath, we're going to be doing a couple of things. We're going to be locking our root lock and bringing our pelvis forward. And you can kind of bend your knees a little bit if you want to help bring that, you know.
Stand up.
So, well, you don't have to stand up. You can sit or stand. I don't care what you do, but it does work best if you pull that pelvis forward. Okay? So let's go ahead and do a breath doing the sacral plexus breath. Okay? So what you do is focus your intent on your sacral plexus, which is right here below the belly button, just above the pubic bone. And focus your energy on that and breathe in. Now lock your root lock, and then bring your pelvis forward and hold the breath for 10 seconds. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Okay, now release. Relax the pelvis. Now we're going to do it again. Bring your pelvis forward, lock that root lock, hold the breath, and release. Now this time we're going to bring it up to the 9th chakra. So bring the breath in, bring it into your sacral plexus, lock that root lock. And now we're going to bring it up, 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 bring the energy up to the roof of your mouth with your tongue, and then roll your eyes up, and then lock it up in that 9th chakra. Okay, now and release the breath. I don't want you sitting there forever. Now, locking that root lock and holding it for 5 to 10 seconds. A lot of people, they've got lung problems, and their lungs have problems opening up. You'll find that if you take a deep breath, you can actually take a little deeper breath as those alveoli open up, and it helps oxygenate your body. It helps get that CO2 out of your body, and CO2 is carboxylic acid in the body, which is a strong acid. So by breathing out the CO2, you're actually alkalinizing your body. Now you'll feel yourself getting warm too. You may even start sweating as you do this breathing. It's because it's energizing your body. It's bringing energy in. Okay, a lot of the yogis used to talk about this. There's prana in the whole universe. Prana is an energy. You can't you know, the physicists haven't been able to figure out what it is. Some people think it's dark energy. Some people think it's there's different terms for the energies. But the number one thing is it's all around us, and we feed our souls and our spirit with the prana. And as you're breathing, your intent is to bring in that energy, the prana of God. Okay, so you can repeat it up to 10 times as time permits, and just keep it going. Now better go back. Solar plexus. The solar plexus is one to 2 finger breadths above the belly button. Now you've got a silver cord tied to your belly button, and that's your life force. But this is above that. It's a yellow colored chakra. And who has seen Kundalini photography of the chakras? Yeah, most of you. Fascinating. It's spelled with a K, but Kundalini photography, they've actually shown the different chakras, and as you energize them, they become brighter and can make your whole aura white light, which is when you're totally charged up. So let's do the intentional breathing for the solar plexus. So what you do is focus your energy on your solar plexus and breathe in and lock that root lock. Now, as you breathe in, we'll turn to the right, and as you breathe out, you'll turn this way, your whole body, turn it, rotate it, I should say, and as you breathe out, you rotate to the left. So let's do that again. So breathe in, bring it in, and rotate. Now this is also squeezing your cerebral spinal fluid in your spine, and then release. Now let's do it again. Breathe in, rotate to the right, and then rotate to the left as you breathe out. Now this time we're going to focus the energy. We're going to breathe in, tighten up that root lock so you don't let the energy go. Now center yourself with that breath still in you. Bring it up to the roof of your mouth with your tongue. Go up, roll your eyes up, and lock it up in that 9th chakra. Now, this is, you know, as you notice, you're getting warmer and warmer. And what we're doing is we're developing what they call tapa, or spiritual energy. And the tapa can even make you sweat. And it's a very good exercise, but this will help your brain, help your whole body to heal. Okay, let's go on to the heart chakra. Now with this one, this is the one you tilt to the side. So bring your hands to the level of your heart. And what we'll do is we'll breathe in and tilt to the right. Lock that root lock. Hold it. And then come over to the other side and release. Then we'll breathe in. Lock that root lock. Tilt to the other side and release. By release, I mean let go of the root lock. And then breathe in. This one we're going to take up, so we'll center. Lock that root lock. Bring the energy up to the roof of your mouth with your tongue. Roll your eyes up and lock it up in that 9th chakra. Kind of interesting thing is I've done with this with the people who do transcendental meditation. They have what they call cities, which is upper levels of breathing and meditation. And they always ask me, how do you know this stuff? Well, you find this stuff. As you meditate and you pray and you find these universal truths, they come to you. And you don't have to learn them from a guru. They'll come to you out of the ethers of the universe because they're universal truths. Now this is very good for moving that cerebral spinal fluid. And the next one we're going to do is really good to move, and there's actually a lock in the chest also, but I'm not going to get into that a lot because locking too many locks too fast is way too powerful. So we're just going to mainly use the root lock, but there's a lock in the chest, there's a lock in the throat, and there's a lock in the third eye. So, but we're not going to go through that just because it's a little too complicated, a little hard for beginners like us. So we're going to go on to the throat chakra. Now with this, we take and you focus on the throat chakra, but we're going to put our hands at the level of the throat. And what you do is you breathe in, and you bring your arms up, so your shoulders up, and you lock that root lock down in your pelvis. And then you breathe out. Now we'll breathe in again. Locking that root lock, bring your arms and shoulders up at the level of your throat, and then breathe out. Now we'll do that again, and this time we're going to take it all the way up. Breathe in, bring your shoulders up, lock that root lock, bring the energy up, 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 up to the roof of your mouth with your tongue, roll your eyes up, and lock it up in that ninth chakra. Now, as you notice, some people will get a little dizzy when they do this. Some people will get a little anxious even. And it's because that energy is building up. That Kundalini, that snake, is coming up all the way up through your body and developing the energy. And it pulsates up and down in your body. And what the root lock does is it keeps it from going down and leaving your body down into the earth. But it's good to connect to the earth, but for our purposes, the Kundalini Yoga, we want to keep that energy within our body and lock it up in that top chakra. Now the third eye breath. This breath is very important. The third eye connects the pituitary gland, and it helps connect the midbrain, or the reptilian brain, they call it. And what it does with that, it energizes that middle part of your brain, and we lock the root lock with it. So with this one, what you do is you focus your energy, and you can just leave your hands down this time, because you don't have to really use it, because it's all of the energy's up there. So you take, and as you breathe in, you move your head to the right in a clockwise direction, and then to the left as you're breathing out. So we'll breathe in, moving that, and lock that root lock at the same time. Bring it around, and then breathe out. And release that root lock. And then breathe in, lock that root lock, come around. And if you have neck problems, just do it minimally. You don't have to do it as wide as I'm doing. And then breathe out, and release that root lock. Now breathe in, come around, hold that root lock, and center yourself. Bring the energy up, up, up to the roof of your mouth with your tongue. There's a connection between the tongue and the roof of your mouth, which brings it up to your eyes. And the eyes, you roll them up and lock it in that ninth storage area. Now we're almost done. Isn't it amazing? But you feel different. Your energy's different. Everything, your pain, you'll find your pain dissipates. This is really good for inflammation and pain. And it just keeps going. Now the cerebral chakra, what you do with this, what I have learned from Spirit, is you take and you bring your head back and your arms back, so you're kind of bringing those shoulders back and your head back, and then as you breathe out, you come forward. Okay, so and you lock the root lock when you're breathing in. So let's go ahead and breathe in. Bring your head back, your arms back, lock that root lock, hold it, hold it, hold it, and then release. Release the root lock and breathe out. Now we'll do it again. Bring that prana in, bring the energy in, lock that root lock, bring it up, and then relax. Now we're going to take it up all the way. Breathe in, lock that root lock, bring it up, 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 up through the roof of your mouth with your tongue, roll your eyes up, and then lock it up in that ninth chakra. Okay, now a lot of people think, oh, good, we're done. We've got it all done. But what's happened is you've actually locked a tremendous amount of energy up in this ninth chakra, and you can use it. If you're got your heart problems, you're worried about having a heart attack, you take and grab that energy, bring it right down into your heart, and this is pure energy. Everything is energy. And with your intent is to heal your heart. Or if you're having problems with your liver, you bring it down into your liver. If you're having problems with your spleen, you bring it down to your spleen. If you're having problems in your whole body, Breathe it down in with the intent to heal your body. Okay? Now, a lot of times I'm doing good enough, I just leave it up there until I talk to somebody who needs energy to heal. The most amazing story, well, I've had lots of them with this energy. My wife had gone up to get my daughter, and I couldn't go up with her because I was teaching a class that night. In fact, I was teaching a Kundalini Breathing class, and I had stored this energy up there, and she got about to Beaver, which is 100 miles north of here, and she was getting really sick. She says, I'm going to have to stop and check into a motel because I just can't drive anymore. I said, well, hold on, let me send you some energy. So I took that energy in my 9th chakra and I threw it at her. And instantly, she healed. It was fascinating. And she was able to drive the rest of the way home without feeling sick at all. And I've had several people who I've taken that energy and sent it to them, and it has helped them heal. And so you can use that energy for your loved ones, for friends, for yourself, whoever you desire, because you're building up this energy. And so you use your intention, and you bring that energy into blocked or weak organs to heal them, or send the energy to someone you wish to heal. It's pure prana energy. It's not anything that has our stuff in it. It's actually good, pure energy. And you can store the energy for future use if you want. It's all about flow. I like to use the energy. So as you've stored that, if you can't think of anything you need to use it for right in that moment, just leave it there. But I like to move energy, because movement of energy, the flow of the universe, is much more healthy. Flowing it through our body is much more healthy. So it's all about the flow. So share that with whoever you like. It's really good information, and it's very, very good for you. Now, we've been talking about inflammation a little bit, and I wanted to, last time we ended up with the 3 R's, and I want to go back to the first R, because I think this is so important. A lot of times, removing the source of toxins is so important. And as we remove, the biggest toxin in our body, guess what it is? Carbon dioxide. It's the biggest toxin in our body. And if it builds up, it causes acidity. And then our kidneys have to remove the acidity through removing minerals out of our bones. So if you breathe right, you won't build up acidity in your body. A lot of people, we buy these expensive Kangen water machines and different things to increase alkalinity. And the biggest, most easiest way to get rid of alkalinity in your body is to breathe. Okay? It removes that toxin and the acid out of our body.
Don't most of us just breathe?
Most of us are very shallow breathers. The Hawaiians call us hales, not because we're white, but because we forgot how to breathe.
Yeah.
Hale means him without breath.
Catch myself doing all the time, barely breathing.
Yeah. As I've been to Hawaii and learned under kahunas, different words mean different things. Ha is breath. Le means without, believe it or not. So it's very interesting. And as I've done kahuna healing, you'll hear me do ho, because the ho brings that energy into your body and removes negative energies. So it's quite interesting, the different techniques. Now, removing the source of the energy and then regenerating your cell membrane. See, this is in that 90-day detox. I changed it to a 90-day because too many people were having plastics come out of their lymph. Our body normally drains the lymph through the colon, and then we poop it out, those toxins out. But as we introduced plastics got in our system from drinking bottled water or whatever. Plastics were invented by DuPont, I guess, back in the late 1900s. And the plastics leach into our food and our system and through the water, and it got into our colons and actually clogged up the lymph ducts that empty the lymph out through the colon. So it made it so our lymph couldn't empty into our colon, so it bypasses the colon, goes to the liver, hopefully to dump there, and then the main duct comes up through the chest, and we pump our lymph through our breathing, and we don't breathe good anyway, so we're not moving our lymph, and it made it so the whole lymphatic system got clogged up, and so we're getting more cancers, more problems, because our lymph isn't cleaning out our bodies. So breathing is so vital to pump your lymph, but the 90-day detox helps pull those plastics out of the lymph in your colon and pulls them out. Now, when I did my first cleanse, I pulled a plug of plastic. Plastic also has a tendency to aggregate or to stick together, and I pulled a plug out of my binder about that long and about that big around of plastic. But it was out of my lymph finally, so my lymph started flowing, so I started detoxing better. But that's one of the reasons why I advocate for people to use Marilyn, the detox, because it pulls. You're in that phase where it's pulling those plastics out, which is good. And I lengthened it so you don't get plugged up like I did.
Is it true, I read someplace that margarine is 1 molecule away from being plastic?
1 molecule away from being plastic.
So everybody that loves their margarine, is that, if it's a molecule away, is there still some plastic?
Yeah, the industry told us how great margarine was for us back in the 70s.
No, how about in the 40s when the war was on?
That's when it first came out, and you'd have to mix it with the little orange.
It was white, and then you had a little button that you'd pop in it.
Pop and make it yellow. Oh, yeah, crazy.
I remember.
So, interesting stuff, but margarine is not good for us. It's 1 molecule away from plastics, and it probably produced a lot of the cholesterol, which is a myth anyway, but anyway, we need to definitely use more raw foods because we need the protein and the nutrients for our body. Now, we're not absorbing them as well because our colons and our intestines, the microbiome has been altered by all the sugars we eat. I'm going to get these slides soon because they depict very, very graphically how eating sugar has changed everything in our lives. When they started see, I had my first Coke when I was 18 years old. I hadn't even had a soda pop till I was 18 years old.
Then you went crazy, didn't you?
Yeah,
It was
well,
wonderful.
yeah, I got hooked on it. And anyway, during the 1980s, the sugar consumption doubled in the United States. And at that same time, the amount of depression doubled, the amount of cancer doubled, the amount of chronic inflammatory diseases doubled. When I started medical school in the early 80s, 1 in 200 people had a chronic inflammatory disease. Now we're 60% of the population has a chronic diagnosed inflammatory disease.
So 60 out of 100.
60 out of 100. It used to be 1 out of 200. I mean, it's amazing, and it's mainly sugars that have caused a lot of this, and toxins and petrochemicals. We started spraying a lot of herbicides in the 1960s, and Agent Orange and dioxin became very prevalent. And they not only sprayed it in South Vietnam and during the Vietnam War, but all the linemen here were getting sprayed and spraying the lines around where the electricity and telephone poles were. And in the 1980s, there was a lawsuit brought by all these people against Monsanto for Agent Orange and dioxin. And I trained in St. Louis University, and I had 2 kids and a wife to feed, and so I had to take in a job while I was going through medical school, and they paid me $50 an hour to go through these medical records of these people exposed to these to see if there was a correlation between the dioxin Agent Orange and the problems they were having. And believe it or not, they were having problems like fibromyalgia, except back then they didn't know what fibromyalgia was. They just called it fibromyositis. But anyway, as we went through these medical records, everything correlated to these pesticides and herbicides that they were using. And so Monsanto settled out of court with all these people for $7,000 a person, which didn't even cover their medical costs. And they buried all the information. And so then they developed, Roundup. And Roundup is only one molecule off from Agent Orange. And so it causes the same kind of problems. And as I go to Iowa and take care of the people there, I was actually started going there because Maharishi came to me in a dream and said, go detox my people, because they were having all kinds of neurological diseases and problems and inflammatory diseases. And so I went there and I started detoxing them, and they are getting better, which is good. It's a good thing. So getting these toxins out. But proper nutrition, it's so important to eat good organic food that doesn't have these herbicides and pesticides on, because they just retox up your body. So if you're eating, it's interesting, we get Bountiful baskets, and we order the organic basket. And you look at everybody else's baskets, and the food looks so nice, pretty. And I mean, it's green, and doesn't have any fungus starting in on it, and all of this stuff. And I use kinesiology, and I test, and I look at it, and I go, yeah, it's pretty, but it doesn't test as good as my organic box. And I open up my organic box, and it's already deteriorating. Why is it deteriorating? Because it hasn't been irradiated, it doesn't have a bunch of chemicals on it, the bugs love to eat it because it's nutritious. And as I test it, even though it doesn't look as good as those other baskets, it tests better, by 10 times better. And it's pretty amazing, because I always look and I go, oh, those look so much better. But they don't have the energy, and they have chemicals on them that aren't as good for our body. So, if you see something, if you go to the store, I always go to the store and I ask, and I use my body as a pendulum. And I tell my body, you always have to set your intent to, okay, go forward toward it if it's good for you, back if it's not good for you. Forward for a yes, backward for a no. I'll get in front of Harmon sometimes, I'll be wondering whether I should go in or not, and I'll go back. And it means don't even go in, there's nothing worth even buying that day, But some days I'll go and I'll feel really good, and I'll go to the produce section and I'll look at it, and some of them don't look as good as the others, but they test that they don't have pesticides or any of this crap on them that we're putting on our foods. The apples, oh, I tell you, apples is my pet peeve, because it used to be an apple a day kept the doctor away, because it has pectin and vitamins and all kinds of good stuff for you, and it has fructooligosaccharides that help your good bacteria grow. And now I go in and I look at it, and there's no vital force in those apples, because they've irradiated them and killed them. So nothing wants to eat them, so they sit there and they look good, but they have no vital force. They have no energy that's really good for you.
Well, nothing can attack them for the wax, too.
Yeah.
They're waxed.
Yeah, the radiation wax. So definitely proper nutrition is very important. Good bacteria helps the digestion and nutrient. They found our microbiome, or the good bacteria and good fungus that lives within our body, actually helps us digest our food, helps break down nutrients so that we can absorb them easier. The good fungus helps to produce B vitamins and different things within our body. And we've actually turned those good things into bad things by eating too much sugar. They've mutated. And so our microbiome has changed so it doesn't absorb as good. In fact, we get leaky gut, we get poor nutrition, poor absorption.
Wouldn't most of us be better off to take a probiotic?
Oh, absolutely.
Every day, or once a day?
Taking a good probiotic has become essential, because we're getting onslaughted with this stuff called Bt toxin. How many have heard of Bt toxin? Monsanto has developed Actually, no, last time I heard it was 16. They've got 8 planted, and they put these toxins genetically in. They put bacteria that produce these toxins into the plants. And the plants produce these toxins, and Monsanto's been teaching to sterilize the soil. But sterilizing the soil makes it so that they don't have the bacteria down by the roots to help absorb the minerals and the nutrients into the plants even, because the plants are like us. We all evolved using bacteria to absorb nutrients and break down things. And what's happened is they kill them all off, and these Bt toxins are bacterial toxins. And they've put them into the plants, and we eat the food. Those Bt toxins start getting produced in our body and kill off our good bacteria. So yes, taking good bacteria in your system
Well,
does
just
help.
having a cup of yogurt a day doesn't work, does it? A lot of people say, well, I have yogurt every day.
Yeah, yogurt only has, well, Yoplait has 1 to 2 types of good bacteria. And usually by the time you get it, they've been killed off because they pasteurize it. And so my favorite yogurt is that Mountain High yogurt, because it's got 4 really good probiotics, and they're live. They're live cultures. And Activa, I think, has 5. You know, they're starting to wake up that we do need probiotics.
These pills have a million, or
What?
billions, or...
Yeah. The problem is there's not enough, and we need billions and billions. They found we need at least 300 billion to make a dent in our system. So taking good probiotics is real important. So amino acids are the breakdown from proteins, okay? And so if you're eating proteins and your body can't break them down, they stay in a longer amino acid sequence, which is a protein. And what happens, we get leaky gut, and then some of these proteins actually leak into our system. And then our body has to actually, our body wasn't made to digest proteins within our bodies. And so we have to get our macrophages and lymphocytes in there to actually get a hold of these things, because they cause harm to our body, and remove them through the lymph that's all clogged up. It's no wonder we have so many, diseases, because the proteins aren't good. We need to digest them and make them into amino acids so that we can use them through our own enzymatic actions to make our muscle and our different organ tissues. The body is a macrocosm. Organs of elimination need to be functional for toxins to be removed from the body. And so that first part helps get the organs of elimination working, and the second part helps the lymph get moving, and the third part actually helps pull the toxins off our cell membranes. A lot of these toxins in our body, they attach to the cell like an artificial hormone, and they actually attach to the hormonal receptor sites, and they cause that our body can't use the regular hormones in our body. So we may have not natural testosterone or estrogen in the body, and we can't use it. A lot of women are going through premature menopause because they can't use the hormones that they've got in their body. And so they go through, like my wife went through menopause at 37, which is way early. When I was an OBGYN, most women, they would go through menopause. The average was 52.6 years. Now, some of these hormones artificially stimulate the body. And girls used to go through puberty when they were 14 to 15 years old, way back when. Now they're going through it at 8 and 9, and some kids are going through it even sooner because of these artificial hormones. And so a lot of these hormones are put in the cattle and the different products that we eat, the meat products. And they do it because they're trying to, fatten up the cows and do different things. But removing these artificial hormones from our bodies is very good for us.
You need to remove Monsanto.
Well, I used to say that, and now I say I bless Monsanto because they help us to bless our food. You know, because of what they're doing, we need to bless our food. And so God bless them, you know. We're not going to change them overnight because they're a huge corporation and they run most of the government. So the cell membrane is the barrier between the toxins in the body and the toxins entering the cells. And a toxic cell membrane cannot function properly. It sends the wrong signals and we become chemically sensitive. We have more allergy problems. You know, currently in the United States, we're having more allergy responses than we've ever experienced before. We're also having more infertility. 30% of the women between the ages of 15 and 35, which is the most reproductive years, 30% of them are infertile because of chemical toxicity. You know, back when I was trained as an OB, 5% of the women were infertile, and most of that was due to sexually transmitted diseases, not to toxins. So, and we're having fatigue at a cellular level. Regenerating the cell membrane, take a lot of good vitamin A, vitamin C, zinc, and selenium. Resveratrol, the wine extract, has been found to be so good because not only is it a really good antioxidant, it actually helps turn off cancer genes. You know, the doctors talk about, oh, you got genetic problems and you're going to get cancer. And, you know, Angelina Jolie removes her breasts even though she doesn't have cancer because she's got family history. You know, what it is these genes actually get turned on. The cancer genes get turned on because of toxins. If you use resveratrol, it actually turns those back off, so you don't get cancer. And it actually helps turn on good genes. So taking some of these things really helps. Acai is good, noni's good. You know, I use a lot of noni in people with colon cancer because it shuts off that gene. Green tea extract shuts off the gene for breast cancer, as well as resveratrol. Turmeric, very important. You know, use more turmeric, and it actually reduces inflammation and helps the genetic code. Thyme, grapeseed extract, milk thistle, CoQ10, creatine, L-arginine, grapefruit flavonoids. You know, oregano oil. Very good for helping the immune system. And some of these other things are lesser known, but they are very good for antioxidant and helping the genetic codes. Restoring the cell membrane, you need to use a lot of methyl donors. And I'm running out of time here, but methyl donors are in B vitamins. B vitamins are the best source of methyl units that actually remethylate glutathione. Who knows what glutathione is? Glutathione is what the liver uses to remove toxins from our body, and it can only do it when it's methylated. So a methylated glutathione molecule will attach to a toxic petrochemical and remove it through your bile. Now, we reabsorb our bile, but it's full of demethylated glutathione. Well, hopefully we're reabsorbing our glutathione. And so you have to remethylate that. And how it remethylates it is through methyl donors, and the main methyl donors are B vitamins. So it's really important to take B vitamins, and especially B12 as you age, because B12 is the best. Methylcobalamin is the best form of B12 because it's got a methyl group attached to it. Cyanocobalamin is cyanide attached to it, so you don't want to use cyanocobalamin. But methylcobalamin is the best form. Okay. So B vitamins with lots of methylcobalamin, vitamins A, D, E, and K. They came out and said vitamin E was bad for you, and that study was done with one type of the tocopherol. Vitamin E is a multiple, it's called mixed tocopherols. And as long as you get mixed tocopherols, you're fine. But if you just take one type, You know, variety is the spice of life, and variety helps your health be better. So definitely use, you know, a variety of different things. And then, you know, your trace elements and different things. Magnesium actually isn't a trace element, but calcium, think of it as a hardener, and magnesium as a softener. If you've got hardening of the arteries, you're getting too much calcium. And so you take magnesium to balance that, it actually will soften up the arteries. Okay, so, and you know, obviously lots of omegas. They found the omegas are very, very good unless they're toxed up with different things. A lot of our fish is getting a lot of mercury in it and different toxins, and so you have to be careful about your fish now. Because of Fukushima, the nuclear plant that has gone crazy, they call it our second sun, and it's still shooting out lots of radiation, and so the Pacific Rim is loaded with, you know, lots of uranium byproducts and radioactive substances. Now, one of the best things to get rid of radiation, a lot of people don't know this, is chlorella. Chlorella, the first big experiment the United States did was in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. As you know, we dropped 2 atomic bombs on these places in Japan. The reason you hear about Hiroshima more is because the people all died from radiation poisoning. You don't hear about Nagasaki very much because the United States government went in and gave them chlorella, which removed the radiation poisoning, and they lived rather than, you know, died. So taking chlorella is very good for cleaning out radiation, radioactive
isotopes.
isotopes.
The leakage, I wonder. You know,
What's that?
They say they're still.
Oh, they're still spewing.
So
The one
should be taking chlorella that already.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to be taking chlorella personally. And thyroid, believe it or not. Our thyroids are getting knocked out by the radioactive iodine. And the whole northern hemisphere currently has, you know, it's like we let off a bunch of bombs and never cleaned them up. Because it's still spewing out this radiation. So one of the things I was told by a psychic was take more royal jelly. And royal jelly has been found to remove radiation. My badge went black when I was an intern in St. Louis because of exposure to radiation, obviously. And the year after that, I developed malignant melanoma. And I believe there was a direct correlation between that. And so royal jelly has been found not only to keep the queen bee fertile and laying millions of eggs, but it's been found to be good for removing radiation
What's the
poison.
best way to use that? Eat it or just?
Yeah, take a spoon and eat it.
It's like honey.
Yeah, it is. It's the royal jelly. It's the stuff the queen bee gets fed. So it's good stuff. Anyway, reducing inflammation. I talked about the inflammatory factor last week. You know, these anti-inflammatories are so good for reducing pain and inflammation. Inflammation causes pain. And so if you've got pain, you've got inflammation. So reducing the inflammation relieves pain. Now, the biggest cause of dialysis in the United States is the use of NSAIDs, or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. And they're over the counter. You can buy them and relieve your pain using ibuprofen, naproxen, you know, these different products. But they eventually kill off your kidneys.
Yeah.
So be careful using those, and I would move over to using more natural anti-inflammatories. Believe it or not, vitamin D3 and K2 are very powerful anti-inflammatories, help your immune system, help your blood vessel. When I get people with bloody noses, I'll put them on vitamin K2. It'll stop their bloody noses because it helps with the integrity of the blood vessels, or makes them stronger, makes them you know, not open up and bleed.
Well, that one D we take has DK.
Yes.
So it has that.
Yeah, I love Systemics because they produce some pretty neat products. I started giving, Chloe was getting spontaneous bruising, and I actually believe she was actually getting leukemia, childhood leukemia. She's my 10-year-old. And when I started giving her this, plus the antivirals, because leukemia is caused by viruses, her spontaneous bruising went away. And we'll never know if she had leukemia, because I'm not going to go get her diagnosed with something and label her so that she gets treated, taken away from my treatment, which is natural, because they actually take kids with cancer and they force the parents to treat them with chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery, which I do not believe in anymore. So I didn't go get her diagnosed, but intuitively I felt like that's what she had, and now she doesn't have it anymore because we treated her with this and antivirals.
What's that product?
Yes.
What is it?
I love this because my kids love taking it.
It
It's
tastes
vitamin
good.
D3 and K2.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm like severe anemic and I get that spontaneous bruising, bloody noses, dizziness. Would that help
So
with
that product would help you. Yes. Yeah. Spontaneous bloody noses are due to our blood vessels being what they call friable. Friability means they break open real easy and they'll bleed, and they won't stop bleeding. And so you start people on these products and they get them well. Like I've got a lady in California, middle California, I can't remember the name of the town, but anyway, she was getting spontaneous bloody noses, and it was due to a mitochondrial disease that she had. And the mitochondria are bacteria that incorporated into our cells millions of years ago to produce energy for us. Anyway, we put her on the T5 and T4, the TVIVI, and vitamin K2, and her spontaneous bleeding, which was a genetic defect, stopped happening. And they went and tested her, and we put her on resveratrol and some of the ones that turn off the bad genes, and they found that this genetic defect had disappeared. Kind of interesting. Nutritionally, we treated her, and this disease disappeared. So, these anti-inflammatories are fantastic. DMSO is one of the most misunderstood products. I started giving people DMSO IV when I was doing IV chelation, and I found it removed the inflammation out of their body. And then they did a study down at UCLA where if people were having a stroke and they gave them DMSO, it would actually negate the effects of the stroke, so they'd get their functioning back. And DMSO is dirt cheap. It comes from the production of paper. Trees. It comes from trees, so it's a natural product. It comes from the production of paper pulp.
Does that have to be given intravenously?
Excuse me?
Does it have to be
No,
given
you can
intravenously?
take it orally.
Yeah.
It makes you stink, though.
Oh,
You'll
yeah.
smell really bad for about 24 hours.
But I mean, if say a stroke patient.
I did.
Yeah. We had a friend who had a stroke, and Donna came in and said, what do we do? And I said, give him some DMSO. So we gave him DMSO. He stunk like heck, but he actually didn't lose. The doctors were amazed because where he had the stroke, he should have lost total function on one side of his body, and he didn't. And they were amazed. They were like, we don't know why you haven't lost function.
Get that building.
It gets right in his mouth.
So anyway, thank you for coming today. And this is the handout. I forgot to hand it out.